What's up everyone, welcome back to Just Finished Coding. This is part 4 of our full Pygame course on Python, so let's get coding.
Just finished coding.
Now quick interjection here, if you've not watched parts 1 to 3, please watch them before you come here because we're picking up from where we left off and you'll be very lost. I'll leave a card for you right here, please watch the videos and then come right back. If you're still here, I'm going to assume that you've watched parts 1 to 3, in which case you should have a program which looks something like mine, where you can move the starfighter around but it's still pretty slow and really cringy. And in this video, what we're going to be doing is to fix up that movement and also structure our game in such a way that we can fire bullets from our starfighter. Let's get right into it. The first thing I'm going to do is to fix up something which is called the frame rate. And as you can see right here at in the bottom of the main loop, or rather at the top of the main loop, we have a pygame.time.delay of 100 milliseconds. And this works, but this is what makes your movement so choppy. And we can replace this instead of a hardcore lag. We can replace that with something which is called a frame rate. And a frame rate is basically how your computer measures time in a way. So if your computer is fast or if your computer is slow, you're going to have kind of the same output. And to do this, you need to remove your time.delay. And instead of this, you need to scroll up and first have a clock object. Okay, and you could call it anything you want. I'm going to call it clock. And this is going to be pygame.time.clock. Okay, and after this, I'm going to scroll down here and I'm going to say clock.tick. Okay, and this within these two brackets, what I can declare is the frame rate. And for this project, I'm going to go ahead with a frame rate of 30 frames per second. And if you bump this up, your graphics would be better, but once again, your sprites would move a lot faster. So I'm just going to go ahead with 30 frames per second. Feel free to play with that and the velocity of, all the sprites, which I'll be doing. So once you have this in place, now when you run your code, you can see that the movement is way easier and better. So you can see that our starfighter moves not only faster, but it also moves way smoother. And that is pretty much the point of that code. So I'm going to close the program and now let's get into our bullet class. So for our bullet class, I'm going to have it all the way up. So I'm going to scroll up where I had my shooter class and right below it, I'm going to have a new class. So I'm going to call this bullet and I'm going to have, I'm not going to be inheriting from anywhere. So within those two brackets, what I'm going to just type in is object. You don't have to do so, I just like to do it. So within this, I'm going to have a def __ init method, not ticked, def __ init. And within this init method, we're going to have a couple of things. The first thing I'm going to have is the X position of the bullet. And for this X position, we need to actually know the middle position of the starfighter, because currently our X and Y coordinates refer to the top left of the starfighter, and that isn't where we want to start our bullet. So right here within our constructor for the starfighter or the shooter, what I'm going to do is to have two new variables. I'm going to say self.centerX, and this is going to be equal to the average of the self.x and the self.x plus the self.width. And what this is going to be equal to mathematically is 2 times, and follow this up with a self.x plus self.width, and this whole thing divided by 2. And this, if you do it this way, this is just going to refer to the self.width. So make sure you put that entire thing within brackets. Okay, so something like this. Perfect. Now I'm going to duplicate this once more and do the same thing for center y. So I'm going to say self.center y equal to 2 times self.y plus self.height. Okay, and this integer divided by 2. I use integer divided by and not divided by because I want to make sure that the x and y values are pixel values, so that we don't have to go in the middle of the 2 pixels, and the computer can't do that. So that's just going to lead to a whole bunch of problems which we can avoid. So make sure you have that in place. And now you can scroll back down here to the def __ init method, and right here I can use those coordinates. So I'm going to say x is equal to starfighter dot center x. Okay, and for the y position, this is tricky because we don't want to go to the center y position, but we only want to go to the y position of the starfighter, because if we go to the center y position of the starfighter, then what's going to happen is that we can see the bullet right on top of the starfighter when it is shot, and that is not something we want to do. So I'm just going to say y equal to starfighter dot y, and that is pretty much it. Now once you have these two things in place, now we can get into three other parameters. The first one is the bullet width, the second one is the bullet height, and the third one is the bullet velocity. So as far as the bullet oh yeah, I forgot to type in a bunch of self. But as far as the bullet width is concerned, we're just going to have hard-coded values for both of it. And these are just values which I think work out pretty decently. So you can feel free to use other values as well. So I'm going to say self.width equal to, and this is going to be 10. And I'm going to say self.height is equal to 15. Okay, and they just have a nice ratio. So I'm going to go ahead with this. Now, once you have these things in place, for our velocity, I'm going to have like a parameter entered in within this class, but as of now, I don't think that's necessary. And we'll have the velocity later on as a function of the level, okay? But anyway, for now, just set self.well is equal to, 25. Okay, and once you have all this in place, now you're going to have to declare a new method, and I'm going to call this method repeat, okay? And this method is going to be very, very simple. So it's going to check whether the bullet has hit the top of the screen or not. If it has hit the top of the screen, then well, it's going to delete that particular bullet. But if it's not hit the top of the screen, then it's going to keep that particular bullet. Very simple. And the way we're going to do this is to just say if self.y is less than 0. In this case, we're going to return true, or actually return false, okay? And if this is not the case, we're going to return true. So return true. Perfect. And this is very, very simple, guys. So if it's hit the edge of the screen, it's going to delete it. And by doing that, we'll have an if condition for this later on. Okay, so now let's scroll down below and have the bullets pop up when the space bar is pressed. So you want to scroll down below to this if keys are pressed, and now what you can do is to duplicate this entire thing, or I'm just going to type it afresh. Okay, so if keys, and right here I'm going to check for the space bar, and to do that you're going to say p dot k underscore, and within capitals type in space, and after this I'm going to put in not a semicolon but a colon, and I'm going to say bullets dot append. And bullets is going to be a list where all our bullets are, okay? And each item within that list, or each element, is going to be an object of the bullet class. So as of now, I'm just going to declare an empty list. So bullets equals empty list. And right here, I'm going to say bullets dot append. And right here within this, what we're going to append is the bullet class itself, okay? And bullet followed by just an open and close parentheses. Perfect. And right after this, you can see that we have our redraw game screen. And in case we have the movement of the bullets after this, what that's going to result in us not seeing anything at all, because the screen is just going to draw on top of the bullets every single time. And that is not really something that we want. So what we have to do is to have another pygame.display.update, and we will be doing that. But as of now, I'm going to scroll back up to the bullet class, and as you can see, we have no movement function. So I'm going to declare a function. So I'm going to say def move, and I kept saying functions for methods within a class, but make sure that you always say methods, because that's technically the correct word. So def underscore move, not underscore, def move, and within this def move, I'm just going to say self dot y minus equal to self dot well, okay? And I'm going to have another method, and this is going to be def draw. And within this method, what I'm going to say is pygame dot draw okay, dot rect, okay, and we don't really have to blit anything onto the screen. Now we can just use this draw function, which is contained within Pygame itself. And within this, we need a couple of arguments to pass in. The first one is the window that we'll be drawing to, and in our case, that's just win. The second one is the color, okay? And as far as the color is concerned, I'm just going to type in yellow, okay? And the reason I'm doing this is because I want to declare all the colors which we'll be using at the beginning itself, so that we don't have to type in, all the RGB values as a tuple. So I'm just going to have yellow. And after this, for the rect values, I'm going to say x is going to be self dot x, y is going to be self dot y, the width is going to be self dot width, and the height is going to be self dot height. And I'm going to declare that color like I mentioned. So as what I'm going to do is to have like a big comment right here with colors, and I keep misspelling stuff today. I don't know what's wrong. Okay, so yellow is going to be, and here you need to enter the values in as a tuple. And for the yellow color, the color I'm going to go with is 231, 84, and it's going to be 128. Now you could customize this as you wish. So these colors are going to be the values of red, green, and blue, where the max value of each of them is 255, 255, 255. And you could actually Google up, like the color which you want, and you should be able to get an RGB code pretty easily. And that should settle your matter, and you can use any color which you want. So I'm going to scroll back down to our bullet class, which, yep, here it is. And now you can see we have no errors. And once we have this in place, we're going to draw the bullet automatically. Perfect. So now what I'm going to do is to just head back to our main loop. And after the redraw window screen, I'm going to have this in place. So I'm going to say for, okay, b in bullets. And this is like the for loop where b assumes each value within that particular list. So for b in bullets, I'm just going to say b dot repeat, or rather if, okay, not is, if b dot repeat. Well, in that case, I'm just going to, oops, I forgot a colon. And in this case, I am going to move the bullet. So b dot move. Otherwise, I'm going to delete the bullet from that list. So I'm going to say else. And this is how you delete a bullet. Okay, I'm going to say bullets dot pop. And if we enter in an index right here, we'll get we can delete that item. But since we don't have the index, we only have like b, which is an item. What we can say is bullets dot index of item. So we're going to get the index and we're going to delete that index. So the item in this case is just b. Perfect. So now I'm going to save my program, and this is going to ensure that your bullets move. But the problem is we're not going to have any sight of the bullets. We're not going to be able to see them because we're going to draw the screen over them every single time. So what you can do to see the bullets is to have a pygame dot display dot update right here. Okay, and this will ensure that you can see the bullets as well. Now, if you have all of this code within this right here, you probably should be able to get the same output. But I'm just going to go ahead with this because we need to move the zombies too. And I'm just going to have drawing stuff inside this redraw game screen loop. So that's it we'll be going with for now. But before we hit the green flag, what I'm going to do is to make sure we also draw the bullets. So I'm going to say b.draw. And if we don't do this, we're going to see no output, which kind of sucks. And before we move on, once again, I made another mistake which I just figured out. And this color isn't really yellow, it's pink, okay? And I'm going to rename this pink. And also down below right here within our bullet, I'm going to call this pink. And I, for some reason, thought it was yellow. But anyway, that's the color I'm going with. So now let's hit the green flag and now let's test it out. Not the green flag here. This is, I guess, a green play button. But anyway. So now we can move it around, and now when we hit the space bar, you can see that we have a whole bunch of bullets flying up. And that isn't really something that we want, because the user can just like spam something like this. And you can see that our bullets also do not like change their position, but that will be we'll be fixing that later on. Okay, so we'll make sure that the center positions of the starfighter are updated so that our bullets go to the right position. But the point here is that there are way too many bullets spawning at the end of each spacebar click. And to do that, we need to have something called a bullet loop, which I'll be doing in the next video. I don't want to cram too much in here. And since we have the bullets in place and they technically work, I'm going to end it right here. If you've enjoyed this video, please make sure you leave a like, and also don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.